Hello, everyone. I'm Major Garrett in Washington. Welcome to The Takeout. What I'm about to tell you, you know intuitively is true. Politics is more reactive than proactive. And today, if there ever was one, was a day for reaction. President Trump signed the memorandum of understanding with Iran last night inside the Palace of Versailles. The reviews are in, and Senate Republicans, to a person supportive when this war began, were either critical or cautiously hopeful that something better in the future can be achieved. Let's start with Roger Wicker. He's the chairman of the Senate Armed Services Committee, and he is someone who chooses his words carefully and rarely crosses the president. Wicker said the memorandum, quote, negotiates away the victories of Operation Epic Fury in ways that are completely out of step with the president's goals, unquote. Wicker also said the $300 billion reconstruction fund to help Iran recover from the war that's going to be funded by Gulf states, quote, would make Iran's payoff under President Obama's 2015 deal look like a pittance by comparison, end quote. Here's what we heard today from Texas Senator Ted Cruz.
If we give billions of dollars to Iran, that money will be used to murder Americans. And so I don't believe we should do that. And the idea that we would have effectively a Marshall Plan for Iran and come in and rebuild Iran after they've been the leading state sponsor of terrorism for 47 years, they've murdered nearly 1,000 Americans, I don't think that makes any sense.
Bill Cassidy of Louisiana told reporters this in a Senate hallway where, I want to let you know, the audio, despite our best efforts, is always a little bit tough to hear. But listen.
Iran's left stronger. We are left weaker. Our allies are left weaker. Iran gets $300 billion to rebuild, which they'll use some of it to support things that we don't care for. I think that we had 13 Americans dead. We spent anywhere from $25 to $100 billion in munitions, and it turns out we've lost a credible threat of attacking them again. So there's a lot of stuff in there that's bad.
That's an external hallway, by the way. South Carolina's Lindsey Graham, possibly the Senate's leading Iran hawk, was circumspect about the memorandum, which he and many others now just refer to as the MOU.
Some of the criticism of the MOU is valid, I think. But here's the way I look at it. Without the MOU being signed, there's no pathway to diplomacy to end the nuclear ambitions of Iran. What does that leave you with? War, continuation of the status quo. So the upside of signing the MOU was greater, I think, than the downside.
John Kennedy of Louisiana reached all the way back to the Flower Power 1960s to explain Trump's approach.
Here's what I think. I think let's give peace a chance. I think that's all the president is saying.
I did not have John Lennon and Senate Republicans in a post-Iran war context bingo card entry. I just didn't. At the White House, Vice President Vance said the 60-day negotiating period to begin talks about the future of Iran's nuclear program began today. My colleague Weijia Jiang at the White House briefing, where Vance was center stage, asked the vice president about something that also irks a fair number of Republicans. The president's comments yesterday that Iran can retain its ballistic missile program. Listen.
Can you help us understand President Trump's shift on his stance for Iran's ballistic missile program? Initially, it was a key objective to dismantle it. Yesterday, he said it would only be fair if they had some, if the countries around Iran also had some. So when and why did that change? And will the final agreement have any restrictions on these missiles?
So we destroyed a substantial number of their ballistic missiles and their ballistic missile launchers themselves. It's not just the bullets, but it's the actual gun. And that's what we were extremely effective at in destroying during the last 3 months of the campaign. All the president said yesterday is that, of course, countries don't give up the right of self-defense. Israel doesn't give up the right of self-defense if Hezbollah fires rockets or drones at Israel. The Iranians don't give up the right of self-defense in their country. But we do expect that as part of the final deal, they are not going to be able to build the kind of missiles that can broadly threaten the entire world. And that's what the President of the United States said yesterday.
Weijia Jiang joins us now from the White House. And the vice president also had some pretty remarkable things to say about criticism of this deal that's coming from certain voices within the Israeli government.
Major, it's good to be with you. That is one major hurdle here because the MOU does include a ceasefire, which also pertains to Lebanon. But Israel has said it should not be the case. And the Prime Minister, Benjamin Netanyahu, has said that Israel will retain its security zone in Lebanon, which is something that Iran does not want to accept. Cabinet officials there have also criticized the president and this memo for happening too early, for giving Iran too much. And you're right, the vice president had very sharp words today saying, if I was in the cabinet of the Israeli government, I might not be attacking the only powerful ally that I have anywhere left in the entire world. Yet another message, which was reminding them that over the last 3 months, Vance says 2/3 of the defensive weapons that have protected Israel have been built with the help of the United States, Major. And so he was very forceful in the language and also sending a bit of a warning to get on board.
And the overall administration perspective on what Iran gets out of this deal economically is that it won't happen right away. It will only happen if they comply. So don't get Republicans and critics unnerved about this sanctions or unfreezing of assets or the reconstruction fund. Give it a moment. Do I have that about right?
You're right, Major. But of course, there's a lot left for interpretation when it comes to what it means when you say the U.S. is giving Iran money. And we know that the MOU spells out that upon signing, which has already happened, that the Treasury Department would give waivers to Iran to start selling its oil, which is certainly a form of revenue and is, part of the sanctions relief that Iran will get. But, the administration is not interpreting it that way because they insist that no taxpayer funds, no U.S. dollars will be going to Iran. But Major, that's just one of the sticking points from Republicans. You beautifully laid out all of the political challenges that remain with this deal. There's also logistical ones. In fact, the vice president was supposed to go to Switzerland tomorrow to begin technical talks. And he says, that's not going to happen probably. It might happen sometime this weekend, but it's really hard for Iranian officials to get out of the country. So right now it's up in the air when these detailed negotiations with him will even begin.
So we might have to negotiate about how to begin negotiations. Won't that be fun? Weijia Jiang at the White House. Thank you so very much. CBS News congressional correspondent Nikole Killion joins me now from Capitol Hill. So, Nikole, I stole a lot of your thunder today. I apologize for that. Anchors should not do that to correspondents. I've been in your shoes many times. I took a lot of today's best sound. I do apologize for that. But there's still other reaction from the Hill. Please take it away.
Yeah, no hard feelings there, Major. But we do have some new reporting that we can share with you, which is that we have learned that the administration did hold a call with select House and Senate lawmakers today on that memorandum of understanding. So, at least the administration is starting to make inroads there, because that was also a chief complaint that many lawmakers had, that they learned about this MOU through the press before they were even briefed on the details of it. And that's why over the last day or so, it's been hard for some of them to comment about it because they had not seen the text or had not seen some of the details besides what was shared while the president was traveling overseas in Europe. So now it appears that the administration may be doing some of that outreach. Vice President Vance mentioned that members of Congress would be briefed on this MOU. Leader John Thune indicated it's possible that they could have further briefings as soon as early next week. So at least those conversations are starting to happen so lawmakers can start to digest this agreement. But what they've digested so far, to your point at the outset of the show, is that both Democrats and Republicans are having a hard time finding anything they like with respect to this deal. You have many Democrats calling this a colossal failure, a disaster, and not a strong national security strategy. And then many Republicans, of course, balking, for instance, at this price tag with respect to this reconstruction fund. And even if it doesn't include taxpayer dollars. Just the fact that we would put up money like that is of great concern to a number of Republicans, everyone from John Cornyn, who says everything about this deal concerns me, to, other members that you referenced at the top of the show. So that's kind of where we find ourselves. Again, we will see if some of these administration briefings kind of calm tensions here on Capitol Hill, but that remains to be seen.
And very quickly, Nikole, one thread I did pick up today, if there was a positive assessment from some Republicans, they were like, well, oil prices have gone down. That should provide some relief at the gas pumps. That might provide relief on the inflation front. Whether that's the proper price to pay for this, after all of the conflict in the region, they were unsure, but at least they were welcoming that because there might be, for them, a bit of a political silver lining.
Well, absolutely, especially coming just a few months out before the midterms. And that certainly has been a point that the president himself has made, that this is a small price to pay in terms of these higher gas prices and oil prices to ensure that there is a nuclear-free Iran. But again, until some of those technical details are resolved, there still remain a lot of questions about whether or not that objective can actually be achieved. And so that, again, remains a chief concern of both Republicans and Democrats here on Capitol Hill.
Nikole, Killion, appreciate it as always. Thank you.